Hey, Miss Gorski, how are you?
Hey, Miss Brown, how are you?
Good, I'm good. Thank you so much for taking this time for us to do this session today. I really, really appreciate it.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to hearing some feedback and bettering my craft.
Awesome. Okay, so just to kind of give you an outline of how our session is going to work today, I'm just going to ask you about 10 questions about the observation that I came in and did last week with you and your students. And we're just going to kind of talk through the lesson together and just kind of identify some different things that I observed and that you noticed as you were teaching and just kind of go from there.
Okay, sounds good.
So the first question that I need to ask you is, were you able to take a moment to watch the observation that I recorded and sent to you?
I did. I took some time to watch it and it was pretty eye-opening. So I'm glad that I did. Thank you for the opportunity.
Awesome, of course. Okay. Of course. Okay. So looking back at your lesson on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being the worst lesson you've ever taught, which I don't really know if that would be possible, and 10 being the best, what would you have ranked this lesson on the Holocaust?
I would probably rank it a 6.5.
Okay. All right. So in the lesson, what did you really like? What were some things that stood out to you?
So I would say that for the most part, the students were really into the topic and what we were doing. They were very excited to learn more about the atrocities of the Holocaust. And I think they were really eager to make the connection between the Dr. Seuss things that we had been talking about and to kind of put that together and figure that out on their own. So there seemed to be a lot of enthusiasm as we were getting started.
Yes, I totally agree.
Yeah, I think to me that was one of the best parts of it as I was going through it.
Okay. All right. So you said it was a 6.5. So that's about 4.5 points off from a 10. So what do you feel like that you would change if you could go back and redo that lesson to make it closer to a 10?
I think I would, if I could change some things, I think maybe there were some times where I guided them a little too much to coming to some of the conclusions. I think, with the benefit of hindsight, looking back, I think I would have allowed them to draw some conclusions on their own without me kind of putting some of those thoughts on their own in their heads, allowing them to make some of those connections without me suggesting them first. So
Okay.
if I could do that differently, I think that's something that, and I think that that would foster more of a deeper understanding of the material if I were able to do that.
Okay. Okay, that's fair. All right. And so I noticed you spoke a lot about what you yourself would have changed. But if we focus our view on the students, what do you feel like that your students could have been doing differently to reach that level 10?
I think that I think that they would probably want more equal opportunities to participate and to be able to have more student voice in that particular lesson
Okay.
than what it was at certain points.
Okay, so can you expound upon that a little bit? So, for example, if we're thinking of in the perfect teaching world, where there were no limitations, everything was exactly the way we would want it to be, what do you feel like that we could provide or put in place for it to reach that level 10?
I think if I were able to do some things to get some of the students engaged at um, different levels, I feel like some were super high engaged and then others not as much.
Mhm.
I think that would drive me towards that 10 if I could do that.
Okay, so I would agree with you. When I was observing and then also rewatching it on the video, I noticed that there were 4 particular students who were very enthusiastic about the lesson, and they showed their enthusiasm verbally a lot. They seemed to answer a lot of the questions that you were posing. They really kind of seemed to dominate the discussion. Would you agree with that?
I do. Yes, I do. It's a blessing and a curse. I have some students who are history buffs and they know a lot about
Mhm.
particular topics and they feel the need to let everyone know constantly just exactly how much they know.
Yes, which was really great to hear, and it was
Mhm.
actually really impressive, you know, to
Mhm.
hear that. But what I started noticing was that a lot of the other students, their engagement kind of dropped a little bit because they were intimidated by by maybe not knowing as much as somebody else, so they were kind of fearful of,
Yeah.
contributing to that discussion. And so, if we're thinking about student engagement specifically with the number of student responders, how do you feel like that we could, start that change or measure if we started looking to that as we needed to change that where not everybody in your classroom felt that they could not participate because of those more dominant students?
Are you looking for like a specific data tracker? Like maybe we could do like I could do something where I have like a tally sheet and I use the roster and make sure that
Okay.
every single person has participated,
Yeah.
or set a goal of each lesson 2/3 of the class will participate or something like that. Is that
Yeah, I do. I really do like that. I was recently in a meeting where the discussion leader did that. They made sure that everybody was participating by doing something similar to the tally. So I like that. So do you feel like that if we, moving forward, do you feel like if we made a student goal of student engagement, particularly focusing on the number of responders, do you feel like that would be something that would be beneficial to you and your teaching and your students? Or do you feel like we need to look at something else?
I absolutely do.
Okay. So you feel like that this goal would really matter to you and would be beneficial.
Yeah, I do. I do. I feel like every student needs to have a voice, and it gives me anxiety to know that maybe a kid has left and has not said something or shared something that they feel like they want to because they feel like they can't, and that really is upsetting to me.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I would agree. I think that kids definitely need to have a voice. And I know that, as teachers, we want all of our students to feel comfortable and confident in our classrooms. And we definitely want them to be able to participate and not let, other students inhibit that. So, if we're thinking about, teaching strategies, I know you had mentioned the tally sheets and the data trackers. Do you have anything else that you feel like could be beneficial to help us achieve this goal?
I think one of the things that I would do first and foremost, the next time I did a style of lesson in that manner, would be to clarify expectations from the start. This is what the expectations are. This is what I want from you. This is what I'm going to do. Make sure I give them those very, very clear expectations so that there's no question about what I'm looking for from them as they meet or don't meet those expectations. I can provide specific feedback regarding whether or not they've met those expectations. And as far as like instructional strategies for doing that, I feel like one of the things that I could do would be to do like a quick write,
Okay.
jotting down, or I'm a big fan of using sketch notes or close notes to increase engagement. So I feel like
Okay.
those might be a couple things that I could do.
Okay, yeah, I think those all sound really great. As I was kind of reflecting on your lesson, I first think you do a great job of setting your expectations. Your students know exactly what is expected of them. You do a fantastic job of letting them know, hey, this is what we're going to be doing today. This is what you can expect. Setting the group norms. You do a really great job of that. And so, as I was thinking, I started kind of wanting to think, how could we use technology as a way to benefit our students, because we do have access to student Chromebooks, we have access to the panel, and I know that our fifth graders, they love being able to use technology whenever they can, and that's a big piece of that student engagement is them being able access to technology. So I thought about three possible strategies that I wanted to run by you. And again, I'm going to throw these out there. If you want to maybe adopt one, we can go with that. Or if you're going to feel more confident, sticking with those sketch notes, then we can go that route too. So, the first one that I thought about was Padlet. Have you ever heard of Padlet, or do you know anything about it?
I've never heard of it.
Okay, so it's similar to the Google Jamboards that we were introduced to back in the spring, and it's pretty much just like an online bulletin board. So you would just kind of pose a question, and the students would go on there and they would post their answer, and then it would be for everybody to see. You would have to go in and you would have to approve it, to make sure everything was school appropriate. But then you could kind of go back through there and see, like, okay, who understood the topic, who still has questions, things like that.
It's very similar to some of the features in Nearpod where they.
Yes, very similar to that, that bulletin board, the cork board one. Yes. So then the second one was incorporating our new learning management system of Schoology. So as you know, that's our new thing this year at the school. And so what it would be is there's a feature in Schoology where you can post a discussion forum. So for example, you would post, what do you know about the Holocaust? And then students would go in and they would be able to comment, only one, and only allows you to do one at a time, to go in and comment what they know. And you could clearly monitor, okay, who has posted, who has not posted, who knows this, who knows that. And it could kind of guide your next lesson. And then the third one is just the traditional Google form, which I know that we are all very familiar with because we are a Google County. So that I would say would probably, if we were kind of ranking them, I would say the Google form would probably be the easiest just because we are so familiar with it. And then I would say probably the Schoology and then the Padlet. Those would probably be my rankings. So out of those three, do you feel like you would want to choose one of those, or would you want to stick to your sketch notes?
I think I would like to try the Schoology discussion forum. It is, one of our county resources. I am a new teacher. I'm not all that familiar with it. And I feel like I would really benefit from being able to implement that more and kind of meet county expectations as well as building expectations with use of Schoology.
Okay, great. All right. So moving forward, I think that we have had a really great discussion about, your fantastic lesson. I think we've identified some things that we can improve upon to enhance your students' learning. And so moving forward, I would love to be able to assist you with that Schoology discussion forum. So again, very similar to the strategies, we can do this in whatever way you're going to feel the most comfortable. So we can do it where I can come in and model for you. You can do it where, we kind of research both together, looking at some of those Schoology resources and reading through that, those documents, or I can just kind of provide you a step-by-step way of how to do the Schoology discussion forum. We can do whichever way you feel like you're going to learn the best moving forward. So which one of those do you feel like would be the best?
I personally feel like I would benefit best from you modeling it to me.
Okay.
I'm a person who learns by seeing and then having an opportunity to practice myself. So I know that if you were to come in and we were to kind of do it together, I feel like I personally would benefit the most from that and retain it best for my students.
That's no problem at all. So why don't we decide, or go ahead and set the time? What day next week would work well for you for us to work in? We can do it either during your planning or we can do it after school. What are you thinking?
What about the 25th during planning? Would that work for you?
Yeah, that works. So the 25th at 1:30.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Thank you so much, Ms. Gorski. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for your help. I appreciate it.
All right. Bye.